In the heart of the vast savannah, under the golden sun, lived a little lion named Leo. Now, Leo was just like any other cub. He loved to tumble with his siblings, chase butterflies, and listen to the elder lion's stories of great hunts and brave deeds. But Leo had a secret. Deep down, he was afraid. Not of big things like grumpy rhinos or sneaky hyenas. No, Leo was afraid of the dark. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the sky turned from orange to deep indigo, a shiver would run down his spine. The rustling leaves sounded like monsters, and every shadow seemed to hide a lurking danger. His older brother, Rex, would often tease him. "What's the matter, Leo, scared of a little shadow?" He'd chuckle, puffing out his chest. Leo would just lower his head, his ears drooping, feeling a hot blush of shame creep up his furry cheeks. He dreamed of being brave, just like the heroes in the stories. He wanted to be Leo the Brave, not Leo the Scradicat. One evening, as the moon began its slow climb into the night sky, Leo's mother, Queen Lyra, gathered her cubs. "Tomorrow," she announced, her voice calm and strong, "is the day of the roar. It is a tradition where every young lion, upon reaching a certain age, must climb to the top of Pride Rock and let out their very first roar to the stars." A buzz of excitement went through the cubs, all except Leo. His heart sank like a stone in a deep river. Climb Pride Rock at night and roar. His throat felt tight just thinking about it. He imagined standing alone on that high ledge with the whole dark savannah stretching out below him. What if he slipped? What if his roar came out as a squeak? What if the night monsters he imagined were actually real? That night, Leo barely slept. He tossed and turned, the chirping of crickets sounding like mocking laughter. He knew he couldn't back down. It was a rite of passage, a part of growing up. But how could he face his biggest fear all by himself? The next day was a blur of anxiety for Leo. He watched his siblings practice their roars, deep rumbles coming from their little chests. His own attempts were just pathetic whimpers. As dusk approached, Queen Lyra noticed her youngest son's troubled expression. She padded over and nuzzled him gently. "What's wrong, my little star?" she asked, her voice as soft as the savannah grass. Leo couldn't hold it in any longer. Tears welled up in his eyes. "I'm scared, Mama," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I'm scared of the dark. I can't climb Pride Rock alone tonight. I just can't." Lyra listened patiently, her wise amber eyes full of love. She didn't laugh or scold him. Instead, she pulled him closer. "Oh, Leo," she purred. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you're afraid, but you do it anyway. True courage isn't the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." She then told him a story about his grandfather, the great King Mufasa. "Even he was afraid sometimes," she said. "He was afraid of failing his pride, of not being a good king. But he faced his fears every day. And do you know his secret?" Leo shook his head, his eyes wide. He knew that he was never truly alone. Lyra continued. He had the stars to guide him, the wind to carry his voice, and the love of his family in his heart. The darkness is not empty, Leo. It's filled with the quiet strength of the world. Her words were like a warm blanket wrapping around Leo's heart. He wasn't just a scared little cub. He was the son of a queen, the grandson of a king. He had the same blood, the same spirit. He took a deep breath. But what if my roar is just a squeak? He asked. Lyra smiled. Then it will be the bravest squeak the savannah has ever heard, she said. And we will all be so proud. With his mother's words echoing in his mind, Leo felt a tiny spark of courage ignite within him. It wasn't a roaring fire, but it was enough. As the first stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, the young lions began their ascent up Pride Rock. Rex bounded ahead, eager to prove his strength. Leo, however, took his time. Each step was a battle against the fear that still gnawed at him. The path was steep, and the shadows danced around him like playful ghosts. He could hear the hoot of an owl and the distant call of a jackal. His heart hammered against his ribs. He thought about turning back, about running to hide behind his mother's leg. But then he looked up. Above him, the sky was a blanket of shimmering diamonds, the stars his mother had spoken of. They seemed to be winking at him, encouraging him. He remembered her words. The darkness is not empty. He took another step, and another. He focused on the feeling of the solid rock beneath his paws, the cool night air on his fur. He wasn't just climbing a rock, he was climbing over his fear. He finally reached the top ledge. His brother Rex was already there, taking a deep breath. A powerful, if still a bit squeaky, roar echoed across the savannah. The other lions below cheered. Now it was Leo's turn. He walked to the edge, his little legs trembling. He looked down at the world below, a patchwork of silver and black under the moonlight. It wasn't scary, it was beautiful. He saw the shimmering waterhole, the faint outline of the acacia trees, and the soft glow from his den where his family was waiting. He was a part of all of it. He was not alone. The wind whispered past his ears, just as his mother said it would, ready to carry his voice. Leo closed his eyes for a moment, picturing his mother's loving face and his grandfather's brave legacy. He thought about the stars watching over him. He wasn't Leo the scaredy cat anymore. He was Leo, son of Lyra, grandson of Mufasa. He took the deepest breath he had ever taken, filling his small lungs with the cool night air. He opened his mouth, and with all the might he could muster, he let out a roar. It wasn't as loud as Rex's, and it definitely had a squeak at the end, but it was his. It was a roar that came not from his lungs, but from his heart. It was a roar that said, "I was afraid, but I did it anyway." It echoed across the silent savannah, a declaration of his newfound courage. Down below, Queen Lyra heard that small, brave roar, and a proud smile spread across her face. The entire pride erupted in cheers, not just for the sound, but for the courage behind it. When Leo and Rex returned to the den, they were greeted with nuzzles and licks of affection. Even Rex looked at his little brother with a new respect. "That was a good roar, Leo," he said, nudging him playfully. From that night on, Leo was different. He still felt a flicker of fear when the dark set in, but it no longer controlled him. He knew that the night was not something to be feared, but a quiet, beautiful part of the world. He learned that true bravery wasn't about being fearless. It was about facing your fears, no matter how small you feel. And whenever he felt scared, he would simply look up at the stars, take a deep breath, and remember the night he found his roar. He was Leo, the brave little lion, and his adventure was just beginning. Thank you so much for watching. I hope Leo's story inspired you a little bit today. Remember, we all have our own darkness to face, but finding that little spark of courage inside is what truly matters. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more adventures. We'd love to have you as part of our family. Until next time, stay brave.